Today we rely on concrete and steel to build our cities, but in the future we could become dependent on bones, experts believe. Cities like London need to find other ways to support the ever-expanding population while keeping carbon emissions under control, scientists warn. With urban areas lacking on space, taller buildings need to be created to house more people using sustainable materials, not concrete and steel. And this could be through using artificial bone, which is designed to self-heal. As more and more people move to urban areas, developers are being encouraged to think of environmentally friendly ways to scale up. The UK's population will rise by 9.7 million over the next 25 years, official predictions by the Office for National Statistics revealed earlier this month. It means the country will need to accommodate the equivalent of a city bigger than London by 2039. Responsible for a tenth of carbon emissions worldwide, concrete and steel are having a large effect on global warming. Before they ever reach a construction site, both materials must be processed at extremely high temperatures, using a lot of energy in the process. Dr. Michelle Owen, from the University of Cambridge's Department of Engineering, said, "Just because we can make all of our buildings out of concrete and steel doesn't mean we should. Engineers tend to throw energy at problems, whereas nature throws information at problems. They fundamentally do things differently. All of our existing building standards have been designed with concrete and steel in mind. Constructing buildings out of entirely new materials would mean completely rethinking the whole industry. If we're going to make a real change, a major rethink is what has to happen." Despite some researchers trying to find ways of producing steel and concrete in more energy-efficient ways, Owen would rather use natural resources. She has constructed small samples of artificial bone and eggshell in her laboratory, which could be used building materials. Since the process takes place at room temperature, the samples take very little energy to produce. But it may be some time before we're living in bone and eggshell houses. In bone, the proportions of protein and mineral are roughly equal, with minerals providing stiffness, while proteins prevent fracture. While bones can break, it is relatively rare, and they have the benefit of being self-healing, another feature that engineers are trying to bring to synthetic materials. And scientists believe mixing the two artificial materials could be the answer. When making the artificial bone and eggshell, the mineral components are templated directly onto collagen, which is the most abundant protein in the animal world. Dr. Owen said, "One of the interesting things is that the minerals that make up bone deposit along the collagen, and eggshell deposits outwards from the collagen, perpendicular to it. It might even be the case that these two composites could be combined to make a lattice-type structure, which would be even stronger. There's some interesting science there that we'd like to look into." Dr. Michael Ramage from the university's Department of Architecture is another who believes we need to expand our use of natural materials in buildings. He has several ongoing research projects looking into the use of wood, one of the oldest building materials we have, for tall buildings. Working with PLP Architecture and engineers Smith and Walwork, Dr. Ramage recently delivered plans for an 80-story, 300 meters high, timber skyscraper to the Mayor of London. The proposals currently being developed would create more than 1,000 residential units in a 1 million square foot, mixed-use tower and mid-rise terraces, integrated into the Barbican in central London. Like other natural materials, the primary benefit of using wood as a building material is that it is a renewable resource, unlike concrete and steel. Dr. Ramage's research is also investigating other potential benefits of using wood for tall buildings, such as reduced costs and improved construction timescales. He said, "If London is going to survive an increasing population, it needs to densify. One way is taller buildings. We believe people have a greater affinity for taller buildings and natural materials rather than steel and concrete towers. The fundamental premise is that timber and other natural materials are vastly underused and we don't give them nearly enough credit. Nearly every historic building, from King's College Chapel to Westminster Hall, has made extensive use of timber. The tallest timber building in the world at the moment is a 14-story apartment block in Bergen, Norway, but Dr. Ramage foresees future cities where timber skyscrapers sit alongside those made of concrete and steel. He says making buildings out of timber will also have a positive effect on the environment. He said, But cities might be a whole lot quieter, as most timber buildings are built off-site, and then just assembled on-site, and use roughly a fifth as much truck traffic as equivalent concrete buildings. In other words, what needs to be delivered in 5 trucks for a concrete building can be delivered in 1 truck for a timber building. That's an incredible advantage, for cost, for environment, for traffic and for cyclists.